I think that there's really only one way to answer that, and that would be just the foundational faith that we have in Christ Jesus. Our mission in this business, it's multi-generational. It is kingdom business that stewards wealth for the kingdom of heaven, provide excellence in our services, and we do all of that stuff through relationship with our employees and with our clients as well.
My name is Misa Avalos, and I started a cleaning business back in 2018 with no clue on what I was doing. And now it's a 7-figure company. On this podcast, I sit down with other cleaning business owners and talk about the real journey. This is a Cleaning Journey podcast.
I'm Haley Burch. I'm from Canada. I am the co-owner of Sparkling Homes. We do commercial, residential, and post-construction.
Love it.
So yeah, and my name's Megan, co-owner of Sparkling Homes.
Hi, Megan.
And also live in Canada, Steinbach, Manitoba to be specific. And we just love what we do.
That's so partners and sisters, and just a perfect duo. I'm excited to talk about how that's, how you guys just come together as a family and grow a business. I'm sure there's a little tough times here and there, but you guys come together as sisters and make it happen. So awesome. So you guys are from Canada. You guys do some residential and commercial. Amazing. So what do you feel has contributed most to your growth and success in your business?
Well, I think that there's really only one way to answer that, and that would be just the foundational faith that we have in Christ Jesus. Our mission in this business, it's multi-generational. It is kingdom business that stewards wealth for the kingdom of heaven, provide excellence in our services, and we do all of that stuff through relationship with our employees and with our clients as well.
I love that. It's a huge responsibility that we have in our faith, and for us to be able to share that with our team, and it's beautiful. It's a very healthy environment.
I
Yeah.
think that being sisters, being business partners, it's a liken to a marriage in a way, because, if we don't have a common goal, if we don't have a common sight line, I guess, which for us would be God, if we don't put that as like the focus, we allow ourselves to, or our flesh to take over, right? And then we're warring with each other, and we're, living outside of what he's actually asked us to do. And it just doesn't go as well as when we're in harmony because, we put him first and we're relying on the leading of God to, give us wisdom and insight to do what he's asking us to do.
Yeah. It's so much easier, right? It's so much easier when you just say, hey, God, it's in your hands. I'm going to pray about this. And, I pray about my employees all the time. Hey, Lord, I need some employees. Like, I'm going to trust in you to open that door. Like, whoever comes through that door, Father, I'm going to take it as you are bringing them through that door. Obviously, we have to do the part, right? I do put our job posts online. I do my efforts because we still have to do that. But at the end, we're trusting and we have faith that it's going to work out, because not only is it our efforts, but it's also God's will and it's his plan, right? So it's so much easier. It's so much peaceful. It's so much funner too, because you just get to see, the fruits in fruition, and you're just like, man, this is amazing. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. The miracles that he's done on our behalf and how he's sustained us through the growing times. I don't know a lot of businesses like in like their third or fourth year of business that can say that, they are profitable.
Right.
They're making money, they can pay themselves, things like that. And all of that success really just like, comes back to God and giving him all the glory, really.
Love it. Can you share a specific moment where consistency of faith carried you through like a challenge?
Well, we went through a season where we had to increase our clients because we just
That's
weren't.
the funnest season.
Yeah, it's such a fun one. And so we had a lot of fear increasing them because we thought, "Oh, we're gonna lose them because we're increasing them." But a lot of it, like, boiled down to us learning our value and who we are and what we bring to the table to our clients. And so we're just like, "We're done." We need to charge what we need to charge, and, it's in God's hands. So he definitely
Yeah,
showed up. We
yeah, that's
lost.
it.
Yeah, we did lose clients.
Good.
It.
Yeah.
But now we bring on the right clients,
Right.
and they are happy with our rate.
Yeah. Yeah. And I say good because it does weave out the clients that are not your ideal clients, right? And if we see it as in like, okay, I lost if you raise 10 and you lose 3, like those 7 are going to pay for those 3,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
You work less and you earn more,
Yeah,
right?
getting the margins correct, and then
Mhm.
sitting down with the financials and being like, "Oh, like we it looks like we took a hit,
Right.
in terms of like the number of people that we're serving, but we're actually making more money because we're spending less money on our cost of goods. We're making more profit, and it just is a really good place to be."
Yeah, most definitely. We should always have a price increase to be able to serve our customers better through that season. We have seasons of our business, right? Of those growth spurts that we have. And we should be able to also do the same by serving our customers better. And that just comes with a price. I think I'm looking at my journey. It's like I've had an ideal client throughout the time of our growth, and I think we've already tweaked the client that we're really trying to serve. So it's so much easier to do marketing, to do advertising, to anything that has to do with bringing those ideal clients to us. And yeah, that's amazing. Price increase. Definitely, you need a lot of patience, peace, a lot of peace for sure.
Yeah, and I find, like, we've had a lot of clients come in that were so used to having an individual cleaner. And so,
Mm.
trying to get out of their minds to not compare us to an individual solo cleaner was definitely a ride in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, because we talked a little bit before about sales,
Mhm.
um, that's been a big uh, part of our sales pitch, I
Mhm.
guess you could say, is the differences between a company and what we can provide as a
Mhm.
company, versus what an individual cleaner provides, right? The consistency in the scheduling, the people to fill in the gaps when somebody's sick and they're not missing their cleanings, that kind of thing. And just like the thoroughness and the following up and making sure that the quality is on point every single time. um we're not having to work around our own personal schedules and lives with kids and after school things and just running around with like chickens with our heads cut off,
Yeah.
trying to do everything and run a business at the same time. And so there are pros and cons to both, but I think that as we like lean into our in-person estimates with the focus on what we can do for them, how we can solve their problem as a company versus an individual cleaner has had a really big impact on
Right.
the ability to obtain that client.
People, a lot of, we think that a lot of people just want a better price. And there is those types of clients, and we give those clients to other cleaning companies because we want clients to be a part of who we are, right? We want them to kind of be part of the family in a sense of like they feel our presence not only through our team, but our products and our gifts, our follow-ups, our communication, the ways that we communicate, our events, how we appreciate them. So it really is an experience. And then when you do increase their price, it's not a wait a minute, why? It's I see what you're doing. And they're all for it. They're all for it. I mean, we just did a price increase. We're in one right now. And I, I I'm in the conversation with my office staff, one person that's specifically doing this task, this project. And I'm like, hey, so how's it going? And she's like, it's going amazing. And I'm like, okay, like, what's your definition of amazing first? Because mine is that everybody is saying yes, everything is going good. And she's like, no, everybody is good. We've lost a couple clients and stuff. Obviously, we were prepared for it, but it's going good. Everybody loves it. And it's because we enhanced the value of our services. We said, hey, we didn't come in as we're going to increase your price and you're going to have the same service. No, hey, we're going to increase the value that we're going to offer you. And then to move forward with this value, this is what it's going to cost.
Right.
It really needs to it really needs to be a no-brainer. If the offer that you give is a no-brainer, you're going to get a lot of yeses because it's a no-brainer. We don't want to miss a sale. We don't want to miss an opportunity, right? I can't go to the store without seeing that, hey, buy one bag of chips, get another one for free. And even though I wasn't going to eat bags of chips that week, hey, we're going to move the no eating chips to the next week because I can't miss this offer. We do that shopping, we do that for everything. So we need to just implement that psychology into how we increase our prices. Yeah, that's amazing. And you guys throw your guys' faith and it gives you peace into those challenging times. That's for sure. Is there a lesson that you guys have learned from a setback that ended up making you guys stronger? It could be, you guys as maybe a setback that you guys had as sisters or a setback that you had with employees, something that we would love to hear and how it made you guys stronger.
Yeah, I think maybe I could point to during that transition time when we were increasing our prices and the client list was dwindling, we, I think, made some poor choices in like over hiring at that time. And so, what already felt like a setback kind of like was even more of a setback because we had to let people go. Um, but in the same way that like our cost of goods to profit increased, our workload was more beneficial to the employees that we kept on because they're receiving more hours. And it is unfortunate, especially when we do value relationships so much. You want to be able to like, pour your heart into people and provide for people because it's a living for them too. But yeah, we had to make that hard call. It definitely felt like a setback, but we definitely, hit the ground running from that point forward and have been increasingly successful since then.
What do you think you did different to make to make that outcome be good on both ends?
Well, we did communicate with our employees that, we were going to be going through a pruning season. And so we tried to spread the hours out evenly so that everybody was getting paid a decent amount, so that nobody was getting paid more. And so that helped, communicating that to our team and not trying to hide it, just being honest.
Yeah, being very transparent with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
like, at the end of the day, it didn't work out exactly the way that we wanted it to or the way that we had hoped. I think, when you're trying to balance like a pruning season, if you want to call it that, where we're our client list has dropped down some, but we're trying to spread out hours so that everybody has a little piece of the pie, but it's not really benefiting anybody, to then having to go and be like, hey, unfortunately, like we're not bouncing back as fast as we had hoped. And so we're going to have to let you go. Those are really hard conversations to have. And you hope and pray that like, from that point forward, like, God's going to look after them. But it really just kind of comes down to the needs of the business. If we don't have a business to support anyone, then what's really the point of changing our prices? What's the point of reducing the amount of staff? And I think that everybody in this industry kind of goes through those times, seasons of pruning, whether it's like personally for ourselves. I think it's sometimes setbacks, they're not even necessarily like so much business related, but like how we independently manage our own financial resources, you know, impacts our business because we have needs too.
Right.
So if the expectation as a business owner is that you pour everything that you have into your business, but if that business can't provide for you the way that you need it to, there's a point of contention. And so you want to actually enjoy your business. I think most people want to enjoy their business, but it becomes more of a struggle than anything else when you are in that spot.
Yeah, business is very challenging, right? Those different seasons that we have to make tough decisions. It's really hard. And I'm really interested to think what else we what else could have been done, and not let those people go. Would you do you want to share maybe like what could have you done different, right? Because you there's a handful of things that you could have done to get leads coming in and to get those people busy. If there's a point where we have to fire people because there's no work, just like that video said that we saw, it's like
Yep.
everything is your responsibility, right?
Mhm.
And and by no means I'm saying it should affect your relationships. It should affect you personally. Um, but it should put a little bit of pressure in you to say, okay, as a business owner, this is my responsibility. What do I need to do so that I could give um, jobs to my teams? What could you have done different during that time? And let's say not fire them.
I think that, we could have maybe extended ourselves a little bit more like on the financial side. Um, and paid maybe a little bit out of pocket during that time frame to sustain what we needed while focusing on building the advertising and building the Facebook ads and the responses to the Facebook ads, which we've done in more detail now. And I don't know if you want to like speak to that a little bit more, but I think it came down to us feeling like we were doing everything that we could and still had to make the decision. But I totally agree with you. Like, there's always something we can do, always something we can do. And the thing that I've learned from that particular scenario is that being able to recognize a transition into another season of pruning, let's say, and reorganizing so that like we can avoid that in the future.
Yeah.
That answers your question.
Yeah. No, and you're right on the spot. It's reorganizing on how you structure your seasons. So what we did, I'll give you an example. Before we do a price increase, we are already planning about 5 to 6 months before. Okay. So I'm already planning losing a handful of clients. I'm already planning the email that we're going to send. We do role playing with our teams to see how they're going to pitch it to our new clients. We see how we can increase the offer, and then how is that going to go with our costs? Do we need to increase also our team's pay? How can we do that? So it's an entire project before you increase someone's price. You got to know how that's going to help everything else, and then plan during that time. Okay, if we do lose 7 clients, is that okay? Like, can we still provide that to our teams? Do we need to hire? Should we have about 2, 3 people training at that time before we do that? Do we need to minimize hours on the cleanings? Like, are the cleanings just scheduled for too long? So it's an entire process. So it goes the same way with Christmas, not even just Christmas. It goes the same way with any holiday. It's like you can go to a Hobby Lobby or a Costco. They're 2 months ahead already
Yeah.
putting their stuff out. They're giving you a little bit of a taste of, hey, fall's coming.
Mhm.
Oh, hey, Christmas is coming. So they set you up. We do the same exact thing.
Yeah.
We're already advertising 2, 3 months ahead of the specials that are going to be coming in December, of any oven cleanings after Thanksgiving. So you like those things even through email, through social media, you gotta be already planning ahead. So for something like this, I think that's a great idea. It's planning probably like 3, 4 months ahead of saying, okay, hey, where we might lose some clients, but we don't want to lose our team,
Right. Exactly.
right? And just plan a little bit different. And it's really all it's like a board game. Business truly is a board game. You have to know when you need to make these decisions and be able to plan ahead so your back is not against the wall and then you're stressing out in the last minute of certain things. And it's just much smoother that way. Now, I wish that's something I would have learned from the beginning. I had to learn that along the way. And doing that for the last 3 years has been, man, a very, very smooth transition. Every time we increase price, every time we do any advertising, we just tend to be more purposeful in what we do because we've been thinking about it. We've been talking about it. We've been simmering around that project. So when we launch it, we're like, it went how we practiced it, you know?
Like that one thing that came to mind was just like within the context of that, there were specific employees that kind of created tension and like we were kind of already on the fence about whether or not they needed to go. So like it's kind of like the situation put us in that position, which made it easier for us to explain away outside of, you know, personal issues that were taking place and like offering some relief there, I guess, in from like the personal side of things, but were still necessary at that time.
Yeah, good. I want to get into some strategies. Now, you guys let me know that you guys are comfortable with in-person estimates and that, I mean, your guys' closing ratio is really, really good. Out of 10 appointments, you guys are closing 8, so you guys have 80% closing ratio. What do you think makes an in-person estimate more effective than quoting online? Hey, real quick, before we dive back in. If you're a cleaning business owner stuck in the day-to-day, doing the cleaning, handling the calls, and working crazy hours, I want you to know that there's a better way. I help cleaning business owners just like you build systems, hire right, and understand their numbers. If that sounds like what you need, go to the link in the description and book a free strategy call with me. Don't keep doing it alone. Let's build something better together.
I think being able to like look somebody in the eyes and shake their hand is extremely impactful. You know, especially since we've all gone through COVID, you know, we all did that nonsense. And I think one thing that people took away from that is that as human beings, we like crave relationship with one another. Um, and we clean for a lot of seniors as well. And so to like sit down at the dinner table with a client who is living in their home on their own because their wife is in the hospital or has passed away or her husband, you know, with their daughter to get the cleaning job done for them, you know, and having them sit across the table from you and being like, this is what we can offer you. This is how we can serve you. This is how we can make your life better. Not just because we're here to clean for you, but we want to genuinely know about who you are. We want to, you know, hear your life story. You know, not that it's about that every single time, but that initial interaction that becomes like a genuine point of conversation about their life needs, about where they're at in their life, you know, how they're doing with their parenting, you know, like cleaning is a very personal service industry. It is. You know, we're scrubbing their toilet. I don't know of anything else that is really more personal when it comes to like a line of work. And we're in their home and people trust us with that. And so I think that that relationship point is key and the human interaction is what has set us apart. I can think of a particular scenario where and it's not just a one-time scenario, but this is just for the example. We went to go do an estimate for a client about 45 minutes away from us, and she had reached out to a couple different people. We were the only ones that had come to do an in-person estimate. And as we were standing in their doorway about to leave, she was like, you know, I just have to tell you, like, there's something about you guys that is just different. Like, I don't even know how to explain it, but like, I just like feel so good to have you in my home. And we know what that is. We
Yeah.
know what that factor is. We carry the Spirit of God inside of us, and He, releases His presence in people's homes. And so that has also been a contributing factor to our in person estimates. Not that we're going to preach at people or anything like that. We are pretty reserved relationally about our faith and things like that. But He is very present. God is very present in those scenarios.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
and I will
No,
add,
that's okay.
or did you want to talk about the clean?
No, go ahead.
Okay,
Finish
I
your
was just
comment.
gonna say that Haley and I personally did their first time clean, and this woman cried. Okay, like full, like flopped over on her countertop and cried because her husband is in kidney failure. He's on dialysis. They're making lots of trips to the hospital, and they really had the need. And so, like, those are the stories and the things that we like reflect on that like hit our hearts and like allow us to like get through all of like the monotony and the day-to-day stuff that keeps the business running. But it's definitely those relationships and the main reason why we do in-person estimates.
That's beautiful. Yeah,
Right.
it's much bigger than cleaning,
Right.
much bigger than that. It's a very purposeful service where we can help other people's lives through, tough times, through work. A lot of marriages can be going through a tough time as well too, and having a company to come in and clean does reflect on, how they see their space and how they feel and how they conversate, and so it really is a much bigger service than just cleaning, and that's beautiful that you guys are aligning that with your guys' personality and your faith and your culture, and people can feel that.
Yeah, like I could touch on that as well, like on the business side of things, outside of the relational. We don't want to overquote somebody just based on the information that they're telling us. And we don't want to go to the clean and go in there and be like, oh my gosh, like this is way more than what we bargained for. So it also protects the client and us from, overquoting in any kind of way. And, then we can guarantee our team, okay, this is as many hours as we're going to get at this clean. So
Yeah.
it's good.
That's good. Yeah, yeah. In-person estimates are amazing for initial cleanings, move-ins, and move-outs, especially those post-constructions because they're very unique. Have you developed like a script or a checklist or a process you follow during these in-person estimates?
At this point, we haven't. We're
Mhm.
still really like building the
Mhm.
foundation of our systems and structures. And so like that is one thing that I am tasking myself with. And Haley and I were actually just talking about this, and when we talked earlier about, having those roles separated and those tasks separated, I think we're kind of like just coming into the groove of being able to do that so that I can focus on the administrative systems and structures. So while we've been in business for a while, it feels like, we've been winging it a lot. Even though we're having success, we still see the need to develop all of those things and move forward in that way. I've worked for like a cleaning company, like when my kids were small, a long, long time ago. And they were very like well versed in the systems and structures and the quoting process, having everything timed out and written down and all of that stuff. And so I've taken a lot of that knowledge just into in-person estimates, I guess, from that perspective. And so it's almost kind of like when you train yourself in a way or you learn to do something, you're not so dependent on the sheets. And so it's kind of in my head, but now getting that out to be able to duplicate that as a goal, right? Like if we want our business to be a nationwide business, then what we do here has to be duplicatable, in our culture, in our systems, in all of that stuff. And that's not lost on us at all. It's just, we're kind of like right at the brink of doing that.
Good, good. Well, the great thing, the most fantastic thing is now we have new friends, which is
Yep.
AI.
Yeah.
We can throw AI on there saying, "Hey, give me a script, give me a checklist and a process for my in-person estimates. This is what I currently do. Put it together and build me a system."
Yep. We
And
definitely have used scripts in the
Yeah.
past for our price increases, things like that,
Mhm.
just to make things more genuine sounding, not so awkward.
yeah, good. Yeah, there's definitely a process. We need to take the client in the estimate to be able to have a higher chance of getting a yes at the end. Now, when you get those no's on the price that you give, and they say, Megan, Haley, your price is too high. I someone else is charging me 50, $100 less. How do you handle those price objections in the moment?
I think it really just comes down to reiterating the quality of work and the excellence that we can do,
Yeah.
the reliability that we can provide them, and just hammering down on the things that we know we do really well, and selling ourselves really to the value and the problem that we solve for them.
When you say value, talk to me about the value that you guys present yourself to your clients.
On a relationship side of it, we build the relationship with the client. We don't just go in their home and do a cleaning, get out. Like we get to know the client on a personal level. And, that makes the person more comfortable with us being in their home. And that is super important to us.
Value is like the word value is like how people say I love you. Sometimes it's very like vague. Like people use I love this, and it's like, it can be, I don't know, a specific yogurt, and they use it the same way they tell their spouse. So value is how I see it the same way. We can provide this value, we show our value, but it really is on how you define value through your business. I mean, it can be the
And
value of the
I think
culture.
sorry.
No, go for it. I was going to say the value of your culture and the value of your services, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to say, like, putting emphasis on the value of our core values, being able to like be on time, do whatever it takes, even if that means that we're extending ourselves, at a clean, we're not skimping over things. We're doing everything to the best of our ability every single time. And if something isn't right, then we make it right immediately. And just having that be like infused into every single part of our business, infused into the people who work for us, so that their mentality and their way of doing things is exactly the way Haley and I would do it.
Mm.
If we come to do your clean, it's no different than our team coming to do your clean. And people having confidence in that. I think that when somebody has confidence in what you can provide and the relationship that you have, then the value comes, I think, from that, like from that place. And they're like, I don't want to lose these people over a $20 increase
Right.
to my cleaning bill, because I feel good about them having in my home. They're consistent. They follow through. They fix mistakes if mistakes are made. All of those things.
Good. What values guide the way you lead your team every day?
Good question.
I would say the Bible.
Values.
Yeah.
That is a way.
Share a little bit more on that.
Sure.
Integrity.
Yes. That is a value.
Yeah. What was another one? We actually did a vision board on this. Where is this vision board?
I think that, yeah, it really just like the value to empower people in their personal lives so that they're growing as individuals. It kind of steps outside of the business itself in a sense, but we want our employees and our teams to hold excellence in their lives. And if there's something that we can do to help them grow personally, from our perspective, that benefits our business, it benefits their life. Having integrity, doing what you say you will do, all of those things, wearing your uniform, like, I
Oh,
mean,
no.
just like Really, just and like maintaining consistency in expectations, those things are like form the culture and make it possible to duplicate because we're not going to be able to be the ones training everybody. Our teams are going to train, and so if they don't hold the same core values, if they aren't integrous, if they aren't, if they don't go the extra mile, if they aren't on time, if they're not, you know, wearing what we've asked them to wear to work every single day, do we need to reevaluate whether or not that person is the right person for us?
I want to add now to that. So when hiring, how do you make sure your employees fit into that culture, your values? How do you make them aware of the importance of those values in your business and how that reflects on how they treat your customers?
Well, I think everybody kind of puts their best face forward in an interview. And so when we describe to a potential employee what our core values are and what the expectations would be in taking on a position with our company, they're either in agreement, um, you know, in that scenario, or they're not. Obviously, we're reading body language, all that kind of that stuff. But I think the rubber meets the road when we take a leap of faith and hire somebody and they they show us in their actions that they are the person with the core values that align with ours and that we're not shy to, fire quickly, hire slowly, fire quickly if need be. Because to be selective in this type of work is really important.
Yeah, you want to hire slow, fire fast. I am with you on that. That is the best way to find the ideal employee. Just how we find the ideal client, it's the same employee journey that you want to implement so that you find that right employee. So let's say like so now that you have the employees in your business, how do you keep them motivated and connected? So especially like on those tough days, like how do you guys keep your team motivated?
So I would say that we're pretty involved. Actually, Haley does a lot of like day to day um follow up with cleans and things like that. If we ever have a complaint, she's there immediately to follow up and make sure that everything is a-okay. And we also like have like team nights, things like that. And then we'll do like company parties twice a year where we'll have like a summer barbecue and then like a Christmas thing. And, we want to go all out, but kind of in a family style way. So, they bring their families and we play games and we do stuff together that like bonds us together outside of just the context of you did your job correctly or you made this mistake and you have to fix it
Right.
kind of scenario.
Yeah. How has business changed you personally, Megan and Haley? Like being a business owner, as we know, it's a very tough position and responsibility to take in. There's everything is your fault. Everything is your responsibility. How has that changed you guys individually?
I mean, for me, I had to learn really quick to keep my word.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It's really like yeah, like you said, you got to take accountability for things. You can't run away from them. And you got to work through the hard stuff. And a big thing for me is getting pushed out of your comfort zone. And that's the only time I've learned things is when I'm pushed out of my comfort zone.
Good. Yeah. If you're too comfortable,
That's it. If you're too comfortable, yeah, that's you don't grow like that.
no, you don't. What about you, Megan?
Yeah, I think for myself, how business has changed me would just simply come down to feeling like I'm walking out my purpose.
Yes, that too.
I have worked for other people. Before having children, I worked in corporate retail and retail before that for like a decade. And so like cleaning was new. I just thought, hey, my mat leave's done. My friend has a cleaning company. I'll just, jump in for some extra money here on the side kind of thing. And that kind of evolved into, hey, do you want to, manage this little thing over here? And then I had my son, and then was full-time mom for 9 years. So feeling like I'm putting something aside, a desire, a passion that I have to do business for myself and something that I know God has called me to. Um, yeah, and just laying that down for so long to invest in my children and train them up well, and having the freedom now to like go on this adventure with Haley, do it for the kingdom of heaven is something that like is still kind of like pinch worthy for me. Um, I it makes me excited, for my days and wanting to just keep going. Really, it's super motivating, even in the hard stuff. Sometimes this is overwhelming. This is too hard. I don't want to do it anymore. The countless times that we want to throw in the towel because things are bumping up against our insecurities.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
yeah, so I've just learned to like appreciate what's happening in my life and not being overcome by our circumstances, but being able to push through, knowing that like on the other side of, this hard thing, that more clients will come.
Right.
More employees will come. We'll have a firm foundation in our systems and structures. We'll have something that we can duplicate because that is what we are being called to do. And yeah, and it makes me come alive, really.
Yeah. And like, honestly, like learning the self-employed life was just, I don't know, it's just different. There's so much freedom to it. And it is harder, and not a lot of people are built to do the entrepreneur stuff, right? So yeah, it's worth it in the end.
I think that if there was somebody who was listening to your podcasts or, encountering this interview, and they're on the fence about like entrepreneurship or like stepping out to do their own cleaning company, or they're right in the beginning stages of their business, it's worth it. It is worth it. The concept of wealth, being able to time versus having money, right? Working for money, working so, somebody else can pay your rent kind of thing. Um, versus having the time to spend with your family um while still earning a living and doing that really well is 100% worth it. And I don't know if I could go back to doing anything else.
I couldn't.
You already tasted the good stuff.
Exactly. It makes me want to, start 5 more businesses if I'm being 100% honest, and maybe that day will come. But for now, yeah, we're just loving this, and it doesn't come without hard things, but the hard things are worth it.
Right.
Doesn't come without the hard things, but the hard things are worth it.
Yeah.
I love that. It's it's definitely a hard job, but the fact that you guys are at peace with it and know that those challenges are going to come, and your faith grounds you and keeps you solid during those tough times. That's beautiful. And I would like to see, I would like to ask you on how your faith aligns with carrying you through those challenges. Because if you haven't yet wanted to burn your business down, you have not challenged yourself enough.
Yeah.
I've gone through 12 seasons of those. Just burn everything, just give it all away. I'm tired of this. So my faith has kept me strong through those times, and know that God has given me a responsibility to run his business, not my business, to run his business and guide people to have a job, right? To put food on their table, to have a good culture, to be appreciated, recognized, and loved on. That's what's kept me strong, in those challenging times. How has faith carried you through those challenging times? when you wanted to quit or when things didn't go your way.
If you're getting value out of this episode, hit subscribe and send it to another cleaning business owner who needs it. Now let's get back into
Your
it.
way.
I think a big thing for me is, the purpose of this business is when I first joined, I had to be very dependent on God. Like I had to put my pride in a little box and be like, okay, God, like I have rent coming up, but like I don't know what I'm going to do. Clients aren't paying on time. Or, we're a little short this month. So I don't know what I'm going to do. But God has always come through and He has always provided the jobs last minute, whether that was a move out clean or, a post construction job. Like He's always showed up and He's never late. He's always on time.
Yeah. And I think, faith has also impacted how we relate to one another, for the amount of times that we've wanted to punch each other in the face or, just like
Yeah.
call it a day because, we're just done,
Yeah.
I think I kicked Haley out of my house one time.
And we're neighbors. I just walked on the door. I don't know. She'll just call me.
Go home.
We laugh about it
Walk
now, but
home.
funny then.
But yeah, I
Uh-huh.
think it's like, faith keeps our hearts soft. Faith, allows us to like feel the conviction that like, maybe what I said, maybe my approach or my tone of voice like was misinterpreted and I should
Mhm.
apologize. Like, for business partners, how we treat one another is extremely important. We think about our daughters, they are 12 and 11, and like they're both very strong-headed, very strong-willed. Both will probably do something in entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
I watched them wanting to do things together, and we set the example for that. So if we can't put the business aside to protect our relationship as sisters, as business partners,
Mhm.
before the business, and then figure out how to like navigate the connection between the two, the business means nothing
Mhm.
if our relationship is in turmoil. Family gatherings aren't going to be very fun if we're, fighting with each other and whatever. The business doesn't matter at that point. So yeah, I think that faith has really played an integral
Mhm.
role in keeping us connected together in the right way.
Yeah.
So that we can actually take strides forward and not just be like spinning in circles.
Yeah, and it really is important to the strong core and foundation of this business
Right.
too, right? Apart from God.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's a big part. It's a big part of our lives, and we gotta stay aligned with the values and the faith and what we believe in, so that that just reflects in the decisions that we make.
Mhm.
Both of you have families. You guys have kids. How do you keep your family and faith a priority while running a growing a business? I'm really interested to know how you keep your business and your family aligned with um your values and who you are as business owners. We go through obviously spouse challenges and growing spurts there, but how does that, when you are having tough times and challenges through your business, how does your faith align with like the family and business all in one?
Yeah. It's kind of a tough question
Do
simply
you want me
because
to rephrase it?
no, I think it's just because there's a lot of like pivots that are made from season to season that make every decision that we make in relationship with our spouses, in relationship with our kids, all of that stuff, and everything is different. So like at the beginning of, starting this business, we're obsessed. We're, all of
Mhm.
our time is consumed with business, 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 and so then my husband's like, you don't need to be on the computer till late at night. Like, hey, I'm over here, let's have some conversation or like a movie night. Like same thing with the kids. They see me do stuff with the business. Like we're very fortunate enough that like we have a team in place that is doing the bulk of the cleaning so that we can be around it in the summertime to do stuff with them and all of those things. It really just kind of comes down to similarly with our relationship. in the business, how we make decisions, like with our spouses too. We're in constant communication. We put God first. We learn through the hard things to make time for the things that are most important. And yeah, and then just, ask for forgiveness when we mess up and move forward.
Yeah. I love that. I have a rephrase of the question is
Sure.
like, how do you balance business and family? Having a spouse, having kids, how do you balance that?
Yeah, like I can touch on that. I would say probably having a good boundary in place that says from this time to this time is business, and then from this time to this time is family time. So that the two don't get mixed together and you're ripping your hair out and
Yeah.
it's just
Mm.
stressful.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
taken time to learn that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like, I don't even think we even hang out on weekends anymore because, like, we just need our space.
Yeah. Even though we're neighbors. And I see her at church too. There's that.
And get away from each other.
Between the business and your personal life because your family is always going to be there. The business may or may not always be there. And so, yeah.
Yeah, and we have like a very strong mentorship team at our church as well that we also do as well outside of business and stuff with families and all that. So that's good to have as well.
And just make sure that we're on the right track, financially and like all of that stuff too.
And also having the accountability there as well.
How has your spouse has supported you through the ups and downs of your business?
Well, they go to work and have a steady job while we build.
Yeah. Their sacrificial service to go into work every day allows us the opportunity to take some risks, which, high risk, high reward, I guess, in a scenario like this. Yeah, I'm so thankful and so grateful for the stability to be able to kind of venture out and do this thing that makes me so excited to do every day.
That's good. Yeah, without our spouse's support, it's really hard to do what we do.
Right.
Right? They sometimes even believe in us more than we believe in ourselves. Can you guys share a time maybe when your spouse believed in the business more than you did?
I mean, there was a couple times where your husband was like ready to retire already. So like I love the hope that he has.
Yeah,
Great.
he does. He has a lot of confidence in us.
Yeah.
In our ability to make this thing grow. We talk fairly frequently about I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for this, but we we talk frequently about him starting his own business when our business is able to support our family in the way that his income currently supports us. And so it's like he sees the passion and he also has a passion, do something for himself and be able to provide for other people in a way, like through service or whatever. And he sees the possibility. And so it's just a matter of time for him than it is like an if.
So I want to do about two more questions. It's going to be about your spouse and then like your kids. I'm really feeling the faith and the values and family conversation with you guys. How do you make sure the business doesn't take away from your marriage, but instead strengthens it as a whole?
Yeah, I think it really just comes down to setting those boundaries and making those things a priority. In the same way our business is a priority, each of those independent things, your marriage, your relationship with your kids, they're all like kind of right at the top and you're not multitasking. You're just like fixing your gaze on one thing at a time and like blocking out a certain period of time where you're like, I'm going to specifically invest in this thing right now. Right now, this is the business. Right now, this is my husband or my wife, and then this is my children. And I think just having having a schedule, is good. I am a very like go with the flow kind of person. I don't often schedule things unless it's business related. And so having like those very just strict time frames of like I shut off at this time, like nobody's talking to me unless it's an emergency, then that's my time to focus on my family.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then for me, like also keeping my husband, I guess, involved in the business and just letting him know like the day to day, like what things are changing and what we're doing kind of thing so that he has an input as well, you
Mhm.
know? And also keeping God in the center of our marriage is super important. And, putting God first because, he says we put him first, he'll take care of the rest. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, that's what we've done.
I love your guys' faith. I love how grounded you are and how you make decisions for your business, and that reflects with your family and your kids, and it all comes together. I mean, living together. I mean, you guys are not living together, but being in business together, living right next door to each other, seeing each other at church, seeing each other at family parties. You guys are best
much.
friends.
Yeah.
I think living together would probably be the
That
no.
would be the deal.
Yeah.
I don't know
Is
why
it just you two, or do you have other siblings?
we do have other siblings. Yes.
Yeah, there's 5 siblings in our family.
Big family.
Yeah.
Big family. That's beautiful. What a blessing, as we all know, that family and business, it's a gift. It's a gift of God. And we are responsible of stewarding those two areas to our best of our ability. We're not perfect, but if we stay grounded in God, he gives us the answers and he opens doors.
Right.
That's amazing. I appreciate you guys sharing that. Now I want to do something fun with you guys. So we're gonna do some rapid fire round. This is a sister partnership edition. Okay. So so since there's two of you, whoever answers first, it's fine. If you guys talk over each other, that's completely fine. But one word, okay? You're gonna say, so let's start off with the first question. I think it's gonna be 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Who had the original idea to start the business? Who's more organized?
Me.
Who's the biggest dreamer?
Me.
Who's the risk taker?
Me.
Who calms things down when it gets stressful?
Megan.
Yes. Yes, me. Definitely me.
Who's more likely to say yes to a new opportunity?
Haley.
Me. Yeah.
Who's tougher on quality standards?
Me.
Good. Who's the better salesperson?
Me.
Megan.
Who's more likely to work late?
I don't know.
You. Okay.
No, at like 6 o'clock.
I think
I'm
only she
done.
has to. Yeah. Yeah.
First word you'd use to describe working with your sister.
Fun.
I have no words.
Comes Megan. It's fun. Haley's like, I don't know.
It's not fun
Okay.
for me.
No, I have a word. Roller coaster.
Roller coaster. Love it. Love it. That was fun. I appreciate you two very, very much for taking this interview. It truly means the world to me that you guys have taken your time and efforts to come in and show up and give us a cool interview.
If you got value out of this episode and you enjoyed the conversation, share with another cleaning business owner. It truly helps us grow this podcast. My goal is to bring real conversations from real business owners so that we can grow this community together and help each other out. So if you really like this podcast, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next episode.